very good evening and thank you for joining us. We're coming to you from the Kampala Serena Conference Center. And tonight we're taking you back 2 years in time. On July 30th, 2017, a story of then 48-year-old Paul Kayonga, who had children suffering from muscular dystrophy, aired here on NTV on our Health Focus segment. And let's play that story so that it sets the stage for where our conversation will go tonight.
Paul Kayonga's children were born normal, but as soon as they clocked 6 years and onwards, the changes began. It all started with his first child, Richard. He suspected polio and thought that perhaps he hadn't been attended to by a qualified doctor. Paul took him to Mulago National Referral Hospital, and after 6 months of checkups, the medical personnel told him they couldn't find anything wrong. But gradually, the boy deteriorated. The next child, Gerald, Richard's follower, presented similar symptoms. He later got worse and the school asked the parents to keep the boys home since they couldn't cope in a normal school environment. Paul and his wife then took to looking after these young adults whose handicap meant they were cared for like babies.
Paka mukama bwe yagenda ng'olumbe lugenda lubagonza ne lubakenenya ne bagwamu amaanyi nga tekyasobola nakenyenya wena nga oyinza okuba ng'omulwadde wa siriimu bw'abeera paka omukulu n'afa yafa alina emyaka 25 naye nga bwe bakugamba nti omwana alina emyaka egyo ng'oyinza n'okuwakana.
Shortly after Richard died, aged 25, Gerald passed on at the age of 24. When Julius, his fourth born, turned 8, the same pattern manifested. The once healthy, bubbly boy began to lose his strength.
Kati yuze sitawanye nnyo nga sente zimpeddeko sikyalina ka sente nange kanyini gwe mulala ndi mulwadde. Nina pressure zinsumbwa kamalu kamazi. Ningamba sikyalina kya kukikola. Kati mubeeraawo mbalabirira buli kati tonna banaaba yagadde nina mwe mugoberere baganda bamu. Kati tubadde tukyali awo ne kanne waako basi.
About 5 years ago, Paul Kayonga's wife, apparently tired, packed her bags and left. He now cares for his 3 sons on his own. According to doctors, Paul's former wife carries the gene, and any other male child she might have will most likely have the same condition.
It's an X recessive gene. That's how it's carried. So these conditions are seen in boys because the boys have one X. So one abnormal X definitely shows that you're going to have that presentation. But if you have one abnormal X and one normal X, it won't be seen, which is girls have 2 X's, boys have 1 X and 1 Y.
These cases are so rare that not much attention has been given to the condition. But research is underway, and an online search shows that so far, gene therapy tested on dogs has been successful, paving the way for human clinical trials. In the meantime, the boys are struggling, barely surviving.
They have difficulty getting up from a sitting position. Someone needs to hold onto something. Then as they are getting up, they use the legs to support themselves and then stretch up the body and then eventually walk. So that's the first stage, usually seen at 5 years. Then at around 8, they have an equinus. The feet, they walk, but the heel does not touch the ground. Then they have a pseudo-hypertrophy of the calf muscles. The muscle is big, not because they are so strong, but it's fat and some little muscle. Then eventually they become wheelchair bound because they can't go about.
Kayonga has a 21-year-old daughter who is normal, but his 3 boys, aged 15, 12 and 8, are already showing Goer's sign at different stages. The disease can be fatal.
It starts with the skeletal muscles. So we're talking about muscles that help you move your legs, your hands. But it progresses, it affects the muscles responsible for breathing, the diaphragm specifically. So they have difficulty breathing, which becomes worse at night, and they usually die due to respiratory failure.
A fellow resident of Paul's village, Seganga in Gowero in Wakiso district, suggested he tries out Kosu Hospital, and he brought his eldest son. The day we visited, the 3 boys were to have a biopsy done on each of them to determine what kind of muscle dystrophy they had.
There are 2 conditions. If you have there is the milder form, which is the Becker's, then the more severe form, which is the Duchenne muscular dystrophy. So there is one, the milder form, we do some physiotherapy to increase muscle power. They can do that. Then for the other one, yes, we do some physiotherapy, but we know the cost. It's a poor prognosis. So we usually try to prolong the process, do some exercises, then we provide wheelchairs. Some need respiratory support, oxygen maybe at night. Then we need to treat all infections so they can live as long as they can.
In 2 weeks, Paul Kayonga will know what exactly has plagued his family that he has not had answers for over 18 years. Josephine Karunji, NTV.
Well, that story sets our stage for tonight. It caught the attention of quite a number of people. We had people calling in and asking how they could help. Some of them were able to get in touch with the family. But one of those was Tim Gillen, a United States national and founder of the Everett and Austin Project, who reached out to me personally, and we had conversations for a while until he lost touch and got in touch with Paul, who is also joining us tonight, and we're going to hear from them shortly. Let's say it as it is. So I'll very quickly introduce them. Tim Gillen, thank you so much for coming to the show, for coming all the way. We've been speaking about this day for a while.
1 year.
1 year.
Yeah.
It's good to see you.
Oh, I was so excited to come over in the van as we were driving over. They couldn't shut me up. I was so happy to meet you.
Well, it's nice to meet you. And we have Paul Rubaihayo, who is the Executive Director of the Sapphire Project. Welcome, Paul.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome.
I received all the videos and the pictures, and we're going to have some pictures of Paul Kayonga that Paul took when he went to visit him. So I think we'll start from how this story got to you, Tim. How did you get to even watch this show? I mean, the story on Paul.
Well, it was about 1 year ago in October of 2018, and I was doing a search. I don't know what prompted me really, probably the Holy Spirit, I don't know. But I did a search and I was like, where do people need help with Duchenne muscular dystrophy? And somehow your story popped up, and it was a very striking story. The music in the beginning, it really struck my heart. And then I saw the faces of Mr. Paul Kayonga and the boys, and his 3 boys remaining, and the 2 who have passed on already. And the reason why it touched me so much is because my boys, Everett and Austin, died from the same disease in America. And in America, we had such good care. We had very good care for Everett and Austin. And Austin died when he was 16 in 2012, and Everett died in 2017, and he was 22.
So that story actually ran 2017. So this was what, a year
later?
A year later.
A year and a half after my second passed, then I ran into your story because I was touched very deeply, and I wanted to come help.
Well, a lot of things happen to people, and they acknowledge the thing has happened and they moved on, but you really, really went out of your way. Why?
Well, I don't know really. I think it was some passion that just burned inside, and I wanted to be able to help because I learned so much being Everett and Austin's father about how to care for them, about helping integrate them in mainstream society and school, and to be careful. If you know about the disease, around age 10 is when they stop being able to walk with the disease, Duchenne muscular dystrophy, and then around age 14 is when they stop being able to raise their hands to their face, so their hands are stuck on their lap. And it's just a very difficult disease, and each time my kids lost abilities, like being able to walk, being able to brush their teeth, being able to scratch their eyebrow in the end, it was a new grief. It was a new grief, very sad, very difficult, but I learned a lot from it. And I felt like, you know what, I learned how to be a better father. I learned to seize the day, carpe diem, make the most of each moment from my kids. They taught me so much. And I also learned contentment from my kids. My favorite story to tell about Everett is the contentment I learned from him. It was about 12 years ago. He was probably 12 years old-ish. And I asked him, I said, do you ever wish you could ski? And he says, no, that would hurt. And I didn't try to explain what I meant. You probably know what I meant. I meant, does he ever wish he was ever able-bodied enough to be able to ski? But that wasn't his immediate response. His immediate response was, no, that would hurt. And so I was quiet. I didn't try to explain. I just kind of put my dad hat on. And I was like, okay. And let it be what his answer was. And to me, what that says is he was happy. He was content with where he was. He didn't want to change, which to me, as an athlete, I'm an athlete, that's strange, to be content and happy. And so anyway, I learned a lot from my kids, and I was amazed when I saw the story of Paul and my friend and colleague Paul Collins here, Rubahayo. If I say it right?
You're saying it better than I was saying it. I was going to ask you how you came in contact with Paul.
Yes. Well, that was thanks to you. You don't remember?
Did I?
Yes. Okay. You told me two people, and one of them was Paul Collins. You said, you need to talk to him. I was like, okay. So I started chatting him, Twittering him, and then finally, after months, I think finally the Holy Spirit grabbed a hold of his heart, and he's like, I need to work with Tim.
So, Paul, you went to see Paul.
Yeah.
I don't know, we're going to have to call him Kayonga because...
Sure.
I did. Yeah. First of all, when Tim contacted me, Josephine told me to talk to you. I thought, maybe, because I had done so many documentaries about health and about humanity, a couple of them. So when he told me about the story, I really felt so sad, and I said, his main point was to meet the guy, and he didn't know where to start from. So when he told me he wanted to meet Paul and help the boys, I was like, I welcomed the idea. And the first thing I had to do, a couple of weeks after, I had to drive to Gobedo, because in your own words, when you were making the story, you said Gobedo, Seganga, Wakiso district. So I followed those plots, and in a search of about 3 or 4 hours, we had met with Paul. Yeah.
What was it like, that meeting? What did you tell him, and in what state was he?
The first time I reached his home, and I was told he's not around. So we had to walk a couple of miles because he was in the garden. So I found him, and I explained myself. I was like, my name is Paul, and I have come. We need to help you. It's like, no, I don't need the help, because very many people have come here, told me the same thing, took pictures, took videos, but I get nothing. So I said, we are not like those people who have done that. We are real. After some time, he believed, he tried to believe, and because I had gone with some few things for him in case I met him. So he started to believe, thinking like maybe we are the right people. He told me a couple of stories and said, there's a white guy, I should say in quotes, of course, he wants to help you because his kids also died of the same disease that these boys are having, and he's so much willing to help you with some few things to get your life back up, and to help you to ease in at least your life with these boys, the way you live with them. He welcomed the idea, and at the beginning that was the
that
first
was how
time.
it started.
Close your eyes.
Mugamba zibiriza.
Close your eyes. Continue.
Awulira nga bamukwatako.
Kati owulira nga bakwatako.
Awulira.
Say no. Ata nawe towulira.
Owulira ayina wakukwata.
Ayina
wakukwata owulira.
No.
Ata akukutteko oba? Yes.
Ata Atawulira.
Nothing.
Ate
Ate
awo.
owulira ina akukwata. Akukuttewa.
On the hand?
No. On the yeah.
You've gone back recently with Tim?
I've gone there 4 times before these guys came here.
3 times before me.
Yeah, 3 times before him, and the 4th time
Was with
him,
us, our
delivering very many things, food. Maybe we've given them money to help themselves out. Not so much, of course, but to help themselves out at their daily life. Because for the first time I realized the biggest issue was food and maybe beddings and what. So I communicated to the whole team about the condition that was right there, and we drafted ways to help them. Yeah, so we've come up, of course, with ideas. What we have done so far, we have done. And also my 4 times, I think the biggest thing we brought up was hope, because these people were, he was losing out on the hope at some point. So even in his words, he was saying, I'm now so hopeful and full of hope.
I mean, even in the story we did, he clearly said he'd watched a lot of his other children die of the same. He just didn't see a future with that. All right, let's take a short break and we'll be right back. Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. We're coming to you from the Kampala Serena Conference Center. And we took you back in time to a story that ran on NTV 2 years ago of Paul Kayonga and his 3 children who were struggling with muscle dystrophy. Tim Gillen came all the way. When he watched the story, it resonated with his story of his 2 children, Everett and Austin, who as well had muscle dystrophy and sadly passed away from it. So he came all the way because he wanted to see what he could do for Paul Kayonga and his children. Once again, thank you, Tim, for, I mean, that takes a lot of I don't know, perseverance to I saw you online trying to figure out a way to get a team together and to make it here to Uganda. It's your first time?
First time to Africa, yeah.
First time to Africa.
Yeah, I love it. I love Uganda.
Yeah, I can understand why.
The pearl of Africa.
It is, it is.
It is, I believe it.
Tell me about, I think when we was talking online, I could see every so often you'd be posting on social media and trying to get people involved in the project. How's that going?
Well, I found many supporters, financial supporters, prayer supporters, many supporters online, and I'm very thankful. Now, as far as you were wondering about how I met my team to travel with me, it was kind of very slow. I started the project in October of last year. I wanted to come to Uganda in January, but it didn't work out. I didn't have enough money, and it's a good thing because I believe several things had to come together. One of them was to meet 2 wonderful women at church, Celia Pompey and also Dr. Tina, well, as I later found out, Dr. Tina Daly. We met at church in March, and we had a very good connection talking about the Everett and Austin project, and their heart was broken also, very touched about the story of the Kayongas, and they wanted to help also. And so I asked them to join, Paul Collins and I, and my friend Rich Bello from San Antonio, Texas. We were praying every Monday. We still pray every Monday at 5 p.m. on free conference call. And then Paul Collins and Josh Kasaija from Uganda also decided to join us with the prayer. And so eventually then, a month or 2 ago is when Tina and Celia decided to come along.
We have Dr. Tina Daly, who is an occupational therapist, joining us in the studio. Thank you so much for coming all the way.
Yes, thanks for having me.
Did you watch the clip, the story?
I sure did.
What did you think?
You know, when I heard Tim talking about this project, I gotta be honest, when I heard him say that he wanted to go and get wheelchairs for them, that was the draw for me, because as an occupational therapist, that is one of the many things that I do for my patients, is perform wheelchair assessments, see what they need, because sometimes patients are just not able to get around their environment because of their medical condition. And there are so many different types of wheelchairs that are out there with so many different types of features which can really help to make the patient more comfortable and help them access their environment, which is so very important. Everybody needs to be able to get around their home from the bathroom to the kitchen, and also within the community. It's very important to be integrated. So when I heard that and I saw the clip, that was a draw for me, and I said, I have to be part of this, you know, and offer my expertise.
So you came all the way and went to see Paul. When you saw his children, the ones you'd seen, because now they're 2 years older, right? Mm-hmm. What did you think when you saw them?
Well, you know, we had quite a little bit of a preview, because Paul and Josh went out and they took pictures and did videos. That was helpful because I sat down and I studied them, you know, and I looked at how their legs were positioned, how are their arms, their body positioned, you know, how they spoke, you know, how they interacted with their environment. And so I kind of did like a remote assessment, so to speak, of what I thought their needs would be. And of course, it struck me that they were sitting down on almost like concrete blocks.
Yeah.
And that is just not comfortable for even the healthiest person. Mm-hmm. You know, for the healthy person, you know, we naturally, if we're sitting in one position for, let's say 20 minutes, we naturally start shifting our body around. And we do that because we're trying to take the weight off the bones on our, you know, on our buttocks. And when someone is so weak that they can't do that, then it runs a risk of developing sores on the body. And so that was very concerning, the fact that they were sitting down on a hard surface. And also the fact that they were just not being stimulated. They were just staring, just looking out. No activities, nothing. They weren't doing anything with their hands. They were just staring out. There was nothing stimulating their mind. You know, I mean, irregardless of anybody's clinical picture, we all need to be stimulated to remain healthy and have good quality life. So that was what I would say really stood out to me.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Tim, when you think back to your own children, mm-hmm. What kind of help were they getting at about the stages where the youngest of Paul's children is? Mm-hmm. What kind of help was there?
Well, it was a lot. It was a lot of help. The boy's mother, my ex-wife, she did a lot of application. Her name is Lynn, and she did lots of work to help and care for the boys. I'm very thankful for the boy's mother. And but the type of help, say the question again, please.
So what kind of help? When she talks about stimulation,
mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think, mm-hmm. what kind were they getting that Paul's children maybe don't have now or could use?
Yeah.
What can Paul do, or what can the people around Paul do
mm-hmm.
to help the situation?
Yeah. In every year from age 5 till 18, the Muscular Dystrophy Association, the MDA, provided camp in the summer camp. That was one of the things that was a given, you know, for my kids. They looked at summer camp as like Christmas. It was better than Christmas. They loved it. That's just an example. We had much care. We had muscle clinics at the St. Mary's Hospital in Duluth. That was a couple times a year, and they had electric wheelchairs with joysticks. And my sons, they loved to play with Legos, especially Everett, the oldest boy. You know, he was just, until he could barely move his fingers anymore, he loved Legos. You know Legos? Yeah. And so he would put those together, and actually for his latest wheelchair, I think the second to last electric power chair, because we had, like, I think he had 3 power chairs, you know, to joystick himself around. He took the joystick off that came with the chair, and he made a Lego joystick, slipped it on there, and that's what he used even for his next chair. He was so proud of his joystick that he had made, and with Legos. And I mean, many things. I could go on for a long time about all the care we got in America. It was really wonderful, and that's what was so striking when I saw your story. I was like, oh, these boys.
Were those the things that you were thinking that if they had these kinds of facilities, just even the simplest of things, it would help the kind of situation they're in?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what do they need when you looked at Paul's children?
Well, first of all, the joints need to be ranged, right? Because they need to be moved, yes. Because the muscles are so weak, you know, they're not able to move through the normal range that it should go through. So when a joint is maintained at one position for a long period of time, all the structures around the joint become stiff and what we call contracted. And then it becomes impossible to move the joint through its normal range. So all the joints, and typically because the legs usually get weaker first, all those joints should be moved. And when I met the boys, that was one of the things that struck me the most, you know. The legs are so weak, so the legs are just like spread out, and then the ankles are resting against the leg rests, which is not a good thing, because that's going to impede the blood flow to the legs, right? And can also break the skin and develop into a sore that can also become infected. So that is a big issue. And the other thing that struck me too is that he has no sensation from his knee down. So when you don't have sensation is one of the first things that we develop. We want to develop. You know, sometimes we complain about pain, but pain sometimes is actually a good thing because it alerts us that something is wrong and we need to take care of it. But when you don't have sensation, you don't know. And that poor boy doesn't know that resting his leg there on the leg rest all day, all night is a bad thing, and you know, and can lead to more complex problems.
All right. We're going to take another short break, and thank you so much, Dr. Tina, for telling us, running us through the needs of these children. Let's take a short break, and we'll be right back. Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. We let Dr. Tina Daly go. She's an occupational therapist, and she was earlier talking to us about, from her assessment, the needs of Paul Kayonga's 3 children. We're back in the studio with Paul Rubaihayo, who again, I'll say, is the executive director of the Sapphire Project. Do you want to tell us a bit about that so that we know how this ties into the Everett and Austin project and what they're trying to do for Paul?
Yeah, Sapphire Foundation, normally it started, I had an idea first in the beginning. I was out in the field and a child was chased out of school for 7,000 shillings, full school fees. When I saw that, I was like, no. So I gathered up some friends of mine, we discussed that, and so as part of our salaries, there is part of that we take off. We look for more sharp kids in class, but who are very less privileged. So we offer that as their school fees, scholastic materials, for sanitary pads.
I'm going to ask what you mean by sharp, because, I mean, that sort of seems like discrimination.
Okay,
I might not be upstairs very clever, but I might be good at other things.
People who have good performances in class, I should say that.
Do you want to expand it to look beyond the good grades to capabilities?
Yeah. We normally visit these schools before putting anyone on our list.
Okay.
And we wanted to keep it at that, really.
So how did this tie in with muscular dystrophy, with Paul's story?
Because I think because it's charity. So being charity, and the Everett and Austin project also being charity, we had some common goals that connected us together. So we shared some common goals, and we all had almost the same heart for same things.
All right. So what are you planning going forward for Paul Kayonga and his family, Tim?
Yeah, we have some short-term goals, and we have some mid-range goals, and we have some even longer-term goals. But if I can put my glasses on to read. Number one, we want to bring wheelchairs, and many thanks to INS Orthotics at the prison building in Kampala. Isaac Nwamanya, I think I say it right, Isaac, has been very helpful. We met with them on Friday, I think, right? And they are putting together some custom chairs, 3 custom chairs, very good price, because Isaac joined the team really by following us on social media like yourself and like Paul. And so Isaac has been very good to us with a good price of these 3 chairs. And a shout out to INS Orthotics Prison Building. Beddings is number 2, clothes, medical fees, guidance and support, school fees, scholastic materials. Now, the medium range goals are...
Before you get to those,
Yes.
I think one of the questions that I have from meeting Paul back then.
Kayonga.
Yes, oh sorry, Paul Kayonga, not this Paul. With the 3 children, was the complications you spoke about was the children can't go to school anymore, and especially the kinds of school that are either around him or within his area. They're just not going to be able to, so scholastic materials and things were not part of his plan.
Well, this is something that almost from the beginning when Paul Collins started visiting the Kayongas, he learned that Mr. Paul Kayonga, every morning for school, he takes that one rickety wheelchair that they have, and he wheels each boy one by one. How many kilometers? 2 kilometers?
2 kilometers, yes.
2 kilometers, one boy to school.
Goes back home, gets the other one?
Goes back home, gets the other one, wheels the second one with a rickety wheelchair, wheels it all the way back, and the third one also. And when I heard that, I was like, wow, this guy is a hard worker.
I'm amazed because at a point he'd said the schools had rejected the children because they didn't have any help they could give them.
Yeah.
Are we thinking about particular schools where the children can be accepted or even given the kind of help they would need rather than go to a school where they'll probably be laughed at?
I think we wouldn't really access that, provided the distance that is from Gobero, Seganga, and the means of transport. These people don't have a car where they can take these kids in the morning and bring them back. And the wheelchairs so that we provide also, that they are not electric or something that can move quickly to catch up the time. But we are making this much more better for them in some way, where they will be attending classes, but every one of them, they will be having their own wheelchair, and it is somehow customized for them to sit comfortably and have a table to write on.
All right, so they'll keep going to the same school where they were?
Same school, but
Seganga Primary.
Okay. So then we're now going to the medium-term goals.
Medium term is we want to set up the Kayongas, Paul Kayonga, with a sustainable shop. And we've done some research together with Josh Kasaija, whose family is in hardware. We want to set them up with a hardware store in Seganga, right? And so they will have their own income. We believe that Paul Kayonga is a very hard worker, as many Ugandans are. I've been very impressed with all the hardworking Ugandans I see around. But Paul, I know, is very hardworking, and I believe he'll be very successful with this hardware store, have an income for the boys.
If I could chip in on this.
Yes.
We wanted to make for them a business that is sustainable, because we didn't want them to feel like
they're constantly taking handouts.
Exactly. They're asking for money, they're asking for food, they're asking for clothes, they're asking for very many things. So I thought if we could start up something for them and they provide all this by themselves.
All right, and this you guys are going to do?
Yes, it's already up. We are renovating the place and to make it.
We found a room, and we have people,
All right.
We're doing it.
Okay, and the long-term goals?
We still need some fundraising for it, but yes, we're
all right. The long-term goals?
Yes, long-term goal, a home for the disabled, like Hillsong United, Hillsong, South Africa, created in South Africa. They created a home for disabled kids, and we would like to create one in Uganda. You know, this is long term. And then even longer term, we want to, you know, from all of our established strength in Uganda, the Pearl of Africa, we want to create a home for the disabled in multiple developing countries in Africa.
Oh, wow. That's a great long-term goal.
Thank you.
How does this, so this will be under the Sapphire project?
Well, we've been working on a cover umbrella name, and so far we want to call it Global Connection.
Okay.
And so the Everton Austin project will be under Global Connection. Sapphire Foundation will be under Global Connection. And who knows what else? Hike for Duchenne. That's one of my fundraiser things that I do. That's under Global Connection. We're actually having a Hike for Duchenne on Wednesday in Kazingo. Where's the district?
Fort Portal.
In Fort Portal District, we're going to be hiking. Josh, Paul, myself. Paul's mother says, I'll hike. I'll hike for Duchenne. She's so sweet. I talked to her on the phone. I love his mother.
How long are you around for?
Pardon?
How long are you in town for?
We leave, our flight is November 4th, but I hope to come back soon.
All right. Check on Paul.
Well, yeah, and to develop. We want to help Uganda be great. It's great. It's a great country. Great. I love Uganda.
We're still great. We might not need to be great again, but okay.
I don't want to be a savior or anything. I just want to help, you know, just a humble helper.
Okay. What would you like to say, Paul, as we close on this whole situation, Paul's situation, and the kind of help that anybody who's watching could give to the Sapphire Foundation or even to the Everton Austin project, just to help, to reach out to Paul and people like that? Because muscle dystrophy is not something that people constantly talk about, so it's really very silent now.
It's very rare, and we have realized that we have our foot soldiers who are trying to find us people who are suffering from the disease. But if there is anyone out there who has the disease, they can still contact us at info@the-evertonaustinproject.org. And we could see a way how to come in to help, maybe with wheelchairs or any kind of support that they could need. And with Sapphire Education, rather Sapphire Foundation, we're continuing the same routes, but if we need also volunteers and more people to join us, maybe to fundraise, contribute to the cause.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And Tim, any final words for us?
Well, I just thank you so much for having us on the show. I've been, for at least a year, I've been wanting to meet you, and I was making so much noise on the drive over, it was just crazy. I'm so excited to meet you.
Well, I was very, I don't know, I was skeptical at first when I saw you trying to reach out about the Paul's situation, also because he'd been disgusted when I met him by a lot of people who said they were trying to help him but were not really trying to help him, and other people were really just telling him, we want to send you to this person with traditional medicine that might, you know, or somebody's taking him to a witch doctor or something, and he was very upset about it. Yeah. So
he's a man of God.
He was very cagey about meeting new people, and even us trying to reach out to him to find out after the last visit with the doctor was quite difficult. So once again, thank you so much for taking the interest in the story and following it up. And thank you very much, Paul. Thank you very much, Dr. Tina, and the rest of the team, Josh and Celia. Thank you very much. Well, that brings us to the end of our show for tonight. Thank you for watching. NTV Weekend Edition is coming up next.